Hi, this is Mark from AltCoin Buzz. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin today, a little bit earlier than I normally do, only because I've got some stuff to do tomorrow. But let's take a look at the charts, see how the week's starting to shape up. Bitcoin's getting to a point where it's got to make a decision here on whether it wants to try and reach for that $15,000, $16,000 area or whether it's going to retest back down into the low nines. Let's take a look. Okay, so we're taking a look at the 4-hour chart right now on Bitcoin. And what we have going on, just these gray areas, these gray lines, I should say, and the gray arrows are just signifying where our weekends have been lately. And you can see that we've ended the weekend on a decline over the last couple weeks. We had some horizontal trading action, some consolidation on this weekend prior to that. And we've had a decline happening so far at the beginning of this weekend. Let's just review where we've kind of been. We have this descending triangle as we were coming into the weekend last weekend, right? And we ended up breaking out of that descending triangle. And as a matter of fact, that measured move was pretty close to where you would hope it would be after something like that. We have about a 13-14% measured move if you use this widest point of the descending triangle. And as we broke out of here, we did have some wicks that came up right into that range. So that played out pretty darn well. And then if you are following me on Twitter, and if you aren't, please make sure you follow me on Twitter at crypto_old, because I do throw out some tweets every once in a while when I don't have time to do videos. And we were looking at the time, it was looking to be something like this, more like an ascending wedge, which is bearish. And we did have a breakdown of that wedge right here that started this little bit of this waterfall. Okay, so one of the things I've seen people calling for lately is that there might be a potential head and shoulders right here if you're looking at it on the 4-hour time frame. The issue that I have with that is that these shoulders are so low. I'm not giving that much credibility, but if we went up on the higher time frames, I could give it a little bit more credibility to play out. Let's just go to the 12-hour. And if we look at the 12-hour and we have something that plays out more like this, I might consider that to be a stronger play on a head and shoulders. And if that were to happen, you'd have approximately another 12% move down. From a breakout somewhere in here, 12% would take us back into the prior swing low of about $10,000 again. And that would be obviously a critical area because we'd have something that looked like almost a triple top. And so then your threat becomes not being able to hold support there and dropping back down into these prior areas that lie right around 9,000 to call it 8,600. That's also, like we talked about in the prior video, these gaps on the futures charts like to be filled, and this gap down here at that $9,000 range has not been filled yet. Now that doesn't have to happen. It tends to happen. So I just wanted to point that out because it lines up with that other potential head and shoulders measured move, right? If that does happen. So we did have the breakdown of that ascending wedge. Overall, we do have this trend of higher highs and higher lows. If we can use this area of support and get a reaction off of this and get back up at the beginning of the week, well then, potentially forming a head and shoulders, true. We could just continue to keep moving up this channel that we seem to be having in here and just having a little bit more range on the highs and the lows as we continue to move up. The concern that I have is that we've got, on this whole trend, we've got declining volume, right? So at the peak of about 14,000 at the highest, we have volume that is continuing to decline. And we're now trading below the 21-day moving average. On the Ichimoku cloud, you can see that 21-day moving average is in the blue. We're below that. We're potentially going to break the 50-day moving average, and that 50-day moving average has been very good support for us all through this trend. So if we do end up breaking that 50-day moving average, that's going to be very concerning. If we cannot hold in the support area, at least to the prior swing low, and the convergence of where the 21 and the 50 broke back apart again, which is basically at 10.5. If we break below that, there really isn't much resistance until we get down to try and find support around 93, 9,000 in that area. The point of control as we look at this move up from here is sitting at $8,700. So if we essentially make a new low by breaking through that prior swing low, these lower areas start to look fairly realistic. We have had the bulls defend this area very well. Defended right at the bottom of the box, defended at the bottom of the box, defended at the top of the box. So we could come back up out of here and find another test of the upward channel and another retest of the support area once again, much like we had back in here. That would put us back like with a close at about $13,000, not just a wick potentially, and then coming back down and retesting somewhere in the $12,000 range, and we just end up having a very nice channel start to develop upwards. That is the bullish side. But again, with this declining volume that we have going on, it is concerning that we are just going to retest this support that we have down here and potentially break through it to the downside. So what we could have happen over the next couple weeks is we could have just sideways trading action happening right between this kind of this blue line right here and the red box. Now that would theoretically, if it holds true to the pattern, it'd be another couple weeks of that kind of trading, much like we had here. This was a month here and a month back here in April. Now more volatile moves than we had back in here, so that makes it a little bit more concerning because the moves are so volatile and we've got it happening on declining volume. But nonetheless, this could play out for another month or so before we see the next leg up. $11,000 ends up becoming the pretty critical point for us to look for, because on the weekly, that's where we closed last week, and if we close below that this week, almost a symmetrical triangle on the weekly chart, which would be kind of an indecision point for Bitcoin. And then we'd be looking into the following week, which would be pull out that whole month for us and be looking at the monthly candles, which at this point still looks encouraging, right? What's the critical point on the monthly? The critical point on the monthly is about $10,100. And where's that $10,100? Well, right in this back in the swing low, right? Back in that area. So that'll wrap it up for today and for the week. Please make sure you subscribe and like here so that you get notified when these videos come up along with Maddie's and Billy's. And hit the Altcoin Buzz IO site, because that's where all our writers post all that great information as they watch the crypto market and keep you up on the news and what's happening throughout the week. And until next time, may all your trades be good ones.